Well, happy Saturday, folks. The real Captain Kirk here. We're live from One Bethlehem Plaza here in downtown Bethlehem here on the 4th of April here. Hope you're having a great Easter weekend here. Mild for us here, 49, way above average, and going up to 75 here. We will take it. A lot to cover here today, but I thought we'd start with asking the robots how's spring going so far here. And it's been a little bit interesting, to say the least, here. Again, we're transitioning from La Nina to El Nino. We're starting to see some of that rapid evolution here. But March in the history books here now. So again, a little bit of El Nino in terms of Canada, coldest in 12 years, snowiest in 9 years, but here in the U.S., warm, except for maybe the extreme northern tier. But again, overall, the U.S. was 2.2 warmer than last year, warmest in 14 years, second warmest in 41 years for March. Brazil was cold, coldest in 15 years, wettest in 3 years, so again, more El Nino signature for them. Australia, coolest in 5 years, drier. U.S. overall was 8% drier than last year, driest in 7 years, ninth driest in 41. So that's more La Nina-like. But again, rapidly evolution here of the cycle here. Maps, big maps here are the temps versus last year on a world scale, and the maps inset left are the temps versus last year versus average, snowfall versus last year, precip, and precip versus last year. Looking ahead to April here, again, starting to see maybe a little bit more of a El Nino signature here, again, which is rapidly developing. U.S. overall for April, about 0.2 cooler than last year, coolest in 3 years, still warm, 8th warmest in 41 years. Wetter, this is clearly El Nino signature, 8% wetter than last year, wettest in 7 years, 8th wettest in 41 years, and maybe snowiest in 3, not much snow. Again, big maps here are the trends versus last year for the forecast for April, and maps inset bottom there are the trends versus last year versus average. Snowfall, we don't actually show April snowfall here, but this is last year's snow. So maybe a similar footprint, maybe more in the North Central U.S. where they've been getting snow here. Get some more maybe for the part of April, and precip maps right. Again, this El Nino is just simply the warming of the equatorial Pacific Ocean here again, and you're hearing buzz now of a super El Nino. We'll explain why that buzz is maybe a little overhyped, but again, some risk for sure for a moderate to strong El Nino developing this summer. And again, simply just the warming, rapid warming, going from a cold La Nina oceans to warm El Nino oceans. Not a fan of models, but models here do show, again, IRI models on the left here show a stronger, maybe mid to moderate to slightly strong El Nino by late summer, and CFS and NOAA models here on the right, again, showing a El Nino by mid-spring and maybe getting up to moderate. Again, some models showing very strong. The reason for that very strong buzz and super El Nino buzz is that if we look back on March here, November, 9 November here, way below average temperatures. This is looking below the Pacific Ocean, all the way from Australia to Ecuador. Again, below Hawaii. So again, hundreds of feet below the surface here. We saw all that really cold La Nina water in the east. And now look at today. We're looking at +4, +5 C, above average water temperatures here. So if that +5 were to go all the way to the surface, which it won't, that would be an epic El Nino of all time. So even if we get up to 1.5 Celsius above average, we're looking at a pretty strong to super El Nino is the buzz. So again, there is some concern here because there's plenty of warm water below the surface to make this a very, very strong El Nino. So right now, models are suggesting moderate, maybe borderline strong. Look at drought here. This is the legacy of La Nina. La Ninas tend to make it dry in North America, South America, and again, certainly have had that over the last 6 years for the predominant pattern here. Right now, 80% of the country in dry to drought phases. 66% last year, and 2024 was wet. So that was the one blip of wet in this drier La Nina cycle. We believe this collapses for sure with El Nino. So El Ninos bring wet. It's already done it in South America, Brazil. It'll be doing it to the Americas here. Seeing that signs right now in parts of the U.S. But we believe we'll actually be in a wet pattern by late summer, fall for sure, with a huge decline in drought-like conditions. Near term, though, again, we got to look at another cycle here that's interesting. It's just the solar cycle. We peaked in 2024. It's an 11-year cycle. It goes up and down. Bottom chart there, it goes all the way back to 1750. So it's a regular cycle here, and it does have influence. Anytime of a peak cycle, it's not uncommon to have a really warm water temperature. So again, not all that unusual to have a strong El Nino after a solar peak, but it is weakening here over the next 5-6 years. Real quick, last week, world summer here, ending today for April. U.S. again, last week was warm, 4.2 warmer than last year. Number one warmest in 41 years, but that really hot weather out in the west. Snowfall down about 1%, least in 4 years. Slightly below average, 18th least in 41 years. And dry, 42% drier than last year, least in 3. But again, that's a little misleading because last year was just record wet. So this year still 8th wettest in 41 years. Cold there in Canada, really hot there in China, 4th warmest in 41 years, and still cool and wet down under in Brazil. Again, this big map is trends versus last year. Inset maps are trends versus average. Look at this week again. We got some severe weather through the heartland here in Great Lakes. Overall this week, it looked about 1.8 warmer than last year. 17th warmest in 41 years, so above average. See some colder trends there, though. I'll talk about the polar vortex here collapsing, but it's making a little bit of a camp home there in the North Central Plains, upper Midwest. And a little bit cooler, actually, in the southeast. They'll take it. Precip, again, about 1% wetter than last year. 20th wettest, about in the middle of the pack. Snowfall, similar to last year. But again, won't be talking snow here much, much longer. Got to be careful, because just because we got a mild warm up here today here in the east, there's a strong cold front coming through, sweeping off the coast for a gloomy Sunday, Easter Sunday here in the east, and then much, much colder. This is Tuesday morning is the big map here, so hard freezes, 20s throughout the Corn Belt, and then if we look bottom inset left there Wednesday, it'll be 20s and below freezing here all the way into the mid-Atlantic. So vegetation that's come out a little too early with this warm up, again, definitely a hard frost and freeze. In fact, this is a theme we may see, just because the overall theme may be mild, we can certainly get these blasts. We think we'll even get one in early May. So again, got to be careful here with the vegetation that's come out a little too early. Polar vortex is doing its typical thing, collapsing here as we speak. Again, every spring it tends to completely collapse, and it builds over the southern hemisphere. So unfortunately, it's camped out a little bit here. We see a little bit of a surge here into North America. So that's why we've got a little bit of a cold blast coming here this week in the U.S. Snowfall here, won't be talking about this much longer here, but again, still moderate to heavy snow there in the upper plains, upper Midwest, and even interior New England. Looking at next week here, week mid-April, 12th through 18 April here, about 1.8 warmer than last year, warmest in 20 years, fourth warmest in 40 years. That heat that's in the west actually shifting into the southeast. Again, got to be a little concerned because southeast is the warm, dry spot. Again, dry in terms of increasing drought for the near term. And that may not get a lot of improvement maybe until summer, maybe even into fall. But so southeast would be a concern, while the central U.S. is getting pretty wet. So where they need it, they're getting some much needed rain. 236% more rain than last year. Wettest in 7 years. 8th wettest in 41 years. So way above average on that front. If we just aggregate this world 2 week trends, again, same general theme. Cold, pretty much wall to wall across the Canada. Big map here now is trends versus average. Pretty much wall to wall warm across the U.S. Again, gotta be careful because we are getting some brief periods of really cold weather followed by a big warm up. So there's pretty volatile, to say the least. Pretty warm there in Europe as well. Stormy pattern is the theme here again for all but maybe the southeast and maybe the Pacific Northwest. So generally a wet theme. Continued very wet down in Brazil. They'll take it. Their second crops in the ground. Again, so they're clearly showing signs of the El Niño pattern here, which will get wetter. So don't forget, folks, you can get this in your email inbox every day. Again, just go to weather360.com/newsletter/captains-log. Subscribe, a long email there, but fill out your vital stats. It's free, and you'll get this every Saturday afternoon as we issue this. So have a great Easter weekend. We'll talk to you next week.